The next screen we're going to look at is our load screen. So we've got the main menu, we click on start, it takes us to a load screen, and on that load screen we're basically going to pass in some information to the player to let them know, how do I play this game? Well, what buttons do I push? What do I do? So let's go to our screen load, and we've got our camera, we've got our load screen script on there. Let's go ahead and pull that one up. And we're going to be copying a lot of information from our main menu script file. This is basically the same startup. We just want to create a box in the center. We want to put some information in there. So let's do just about that. We are going to have some additional information because we do want to wait a little bit. We want to give the player some time before it actually goes into the game. So let's go into here. Let's do at least an inspector value. And inside of here, let's pass in or make available some information for how long do we want to wait. So we're going to say a wait time. How long is the player going to wait on the screen? And let's go ahead and make this a float. And let's not make it all capitals. And we'll make this equal to, let's say, no more than about 3 seconds to begin with, and we can always change up that time if we need to. Now, this is something that I want in this screen. I'm just going to copy this all out. There we go. Alright. So inside of here, what else do we actually want to pull out of here and take over to the other one? If we start thinking about it, we're going to be making another group. We'll have our box, and instead of maybe buttons, we're just going to be doing labels, where we're just putting, text onto the screen just to talk about what it is that they need to do. So let's go back over to here. Let's leave our function update. We'll need to set up our timer inside of there. So this will be our for waiting. We're going to set up a function for our GUI. So on GUI, and in our on GUI, we're basically doing what? We are looking for a group. We're going to begin a group. We're going to create a box, and then we're going to do some GUI labels. So we can type that back in from the beginning, or I'm going to go ahead and grab up a couple of things up here from the group and the box, and we don't really need the button right there. So we've got the basic beginning of our group, we've got the box for the group, and we'll go ahead and grab up our group end. And then in between all of this good stuff, we'll put our labels. So we'll say instructions for the player. We go here. GUI.label. And we've got our rect. And let's see if we can't put that inside. There we go. And let's go ahead and see how big do we want this to be. I think we're going to make our screen a little bit bigger because our instructions, the words going across, are going to need a little bit more space. So for at least the begin group, we're pretty close. We're at -2 and 100. Let's actually make this 100 instead, so we've got a little more space going over. And then coming down, instead of the 100, let's actually take this up to somewhere around 200 and 200. Just to give us a little more space in there to work with. And as we go down here, we've got the box, the rectangle here, and we're starting again, it's starting on the inside area. So 0, 0, let's make this a 200 and 200. Just make sure we've got plenty of space to work this up. And here, instead of a credit menu, we're going to go ahead and just say these are the instructions. There we go. And inside of our labels, we can go in and say how big is that label going to be, what is the word going to be basically. So if we're going to say, let's say the arrow keys to move, that means we need some space for it. So we'll say with this one, we'll go over 10, we'll drop down, be consistent, we'll drop down 30 to start with, and we need maybe 100, 150, we'll go maybe 140, and give ourselves 40 down. And our label will say arrow keys to move. There we go. And then the next one, let's say this is going to be our GUI.label rectangle, and this one we're going to go 10 over, and instead of going 30 down, let's go 60 down, and then at least 140, 160 across, and 70. Once you start playing with the system, you get a better idea of thinking through, well, if I drop down this far, go over this far, it lets me do this, this, and this, and makes it a little bit easier to fill in some of those numbers. In the beginning, it might take a while to think through where those are going to go. So we'll do spacebar to shoot, and then our next one, we've got our next GUI. And let's do this one at 10 over. And if we drop down 60 to 70 over, we'll go about 90. And we'll go ahead and set these at like an even number here. We'll say 160, 160. And then our last number, that'll put us somewhere around 100. Okay, so we've got spacebar to shoot, arrows to move, and then let's say escape to quit. Okay, so we've got the basic controls, information that the player's going to need right in here. This can work just fine for us. And we've got our in group right here. And let's go ahead and just define this so we remember what it is that this guide actually does. It's going to end the group that we started from above. And that should get us what we need on screen. Now the next thing we want to do though is we actually want to create that timer. We want to wait for a little bit. So let's just make a function call for that, because we can't do a coroutine inside of our update, but we can run a function inside of our update. So we'll just make a function, and this will be our wait time. And inside of our wait time, let's go in and do just a yield coroutine. Wait 4 seconds, and then let's fill that in with our wait time from our inspector variable. That way we can use it from the design side. And then once that's complete, after that timer has run out, we're not looking for a button push here, we're just looking for the timer to run out, or we might even look for a key on the update area. We'll say application, and let's spell application right, there we go, application.load level, just like from before. And then we got to point to the level. We're going to call this what? This is going to be our level 01. So after that timer runs out, then it's going to load up that level for us. And let's go back up to our update, and just in case somebody is impatient and they don't want to wait through the load screen, they just want to jump right into the game, they don't need the instructions, then we can also put in some key input. That way they don't have to wait for it. So we'll say if, and we've done key input before, so we're doing if input dot get key down. And what key do we want to look for? A nice simple one, let's say the space. So if the user hits the space bar, then let's just skip over everything and load up our game. So we'll do application.load level, and we'll call up that level file. That's going to be our level 1. And that will let us just start our game, load our level. And else, we want to actually run that function that we created. So the wait time, there we go. So now we're set up so that we can either wait on that screen based on the time or push a button and skip on over to our level. So let's save that one out. Let's go back over and let's just try it from our main menu. Go back to our main menu. We'll hit play. We'll hit start game. We get our instructions, arrow keys to move, spacebar to shoot, boop, and then it starts up our game. And we are actually playing our game now. Alright, that's looking good. Okay, just a couple more screens to tie in. We'll start those up next.